Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator. And today, as the title says, I owe much of the community and Microsoft and Asobo an apology. So stick around and I'm going to tell you guys why. If you are interested in learning how to fly the A320, consider checking out my Overkill's A320 guide. This guide is available on either my Patreon site or via PayPal donation. PayPal donation, $10 or more. Just be sure to specify which guide you're looking for, as I have more than one. Patreon site, tier 2 or above, again, $10 a month, but that gives you access to all the guides that I currently have available, and then all that are coming in the future. My A320 guide walks you through how to install the A32NX mod by Flybywire. For those who don't know, the A32NX mod takes the default A320 Microsoft Flight Simulator and brings its functionality and features up to what I would consider study level simulation, and it's all completely free. So be sure to check that out. This guide walks you through everything from creating your flight plan into SimBrief, reading your flight plan in SimBrief, entering your flight plan in Microsoft Flight Simulator if that's how you choose to do so in the main menu or in the main map, full cockpit tours, walking through every button, switch, etc., letting you guys know where all the different panels and what the different options are, different displays on the screen and icons and things that you may experience while in flight and what they mean and how to read them and interpolate the information being displayed, the preliminary checklist before starting up the aircraft, taxi, takeoff, navigation, your altitude management, features of the MCDU that aren't related specifically to the A320 but are available because of Flybywire and their efforts, how to break down a flight route, understanding what you're looking at so you can take this information, use it in future flights, rather than just copying and pasting information that you're seeing on a screen or on a document, how to acquire some more information that's provided in the A320, specifically the A32NX, the different gauges, again, understanding what you're looking at versus just, powering up and going, getting some of that background information to solidify your flight, looking at approach plates, departure plates, SIDS, stars, all those things that we have to consider when doing an IFR flight, managing your descent, when to start your descent, as well as the approach and giving you goals of where you want to be at specific points and even the missed approach. For shutdown, we go through the startup or the cold and dark and the turnaround status. So again, if you guys are interested in a guide like this and interested in learning how to fly the A320, consider donating or subscribing to Patreon to acquire your guide. All right, so I'm not going to beat around the bush or anything like that, so I'm just going to dive right into it. The stance that I took the other day in my previous video, although I stand by many of my points, my way of handling it was wrong. It was unprofessional. My tone and demeanor in that video was not productive. It was not supportive. It was very antagonizing and pessimistic, and that's just not typically my style. Now with the rest of the video, I'm going to get into a few things as to why I am still standing by some of the things I've said. But I'm also going to discuss things that I would like to see differently in the future. And then, different ways that obviously I should have handled the situation. So first off, like I said, the way I handled it was wrong. I should not have let my emotion ever get recorded in the video. I know that there are many of you who supported my stance on this, but the fact of the matter is that, as someone pointed out, all I did was add to the chaos and turmoil. I added fuel to a burning fire, which essentially does nothing. It just doesn't. As someone who comes from a software support background for enterprise-level corporations all over the world, whether it be government offices, hospitals, etc., I deal with very large-scale corporations. And in the software that I support, we deal with service releases and bug patches and things like that all the time that break things and fix things. Okay, and we deal with hundreds of integrations and thousands of different environments every single day. So with that being stated, where my frustration came from the other day was I'm also a very empathetic person. Okay, I really try hard to read darn near everybody's comments. I can't get to that many. I'd be here all day if I did. But I do try. And there have been quite a few that I've responded to, and there's been some that I haven't responded to, but I did see. And that's part of the driving force to this particular video. As you guys have seen in any of my flight and tutorial videos, I don't hide my mistakes. If I make a mistake in starting a plane, I show it. And I mention it, and I call it out. I don't fix it behind the scenes, take it out of the recording, or redo a recording simply because I did something stupid. I leave it. You know, we learn just as much, if not more, from the things we do wrong than as the things we do right. And after reading a lot of you guys' stances and knowing that I upset many of the community members just as much as many of the community members are supporting what I've said, I pissed a lot of you guys off. And for that, I truly am sorry. I do agree, absolutely, that my stance was unprofessional, as I stated. It was not the correct way to handle it. Where that statement of empathy comes from is, I do what I do because I like to help. I genuinely do. Even whether it's for work, whether it's here on YouTube, or, you know, a friend who calls me up in need. You know, and I get frustrated when I can't. I really do. I cannot tell you guys how many hours I have spent off screen here trying to reproduce some of the issues you guys have had. I mean, I've gone through so many add-ons and sceneries in the last few days. It's been endless and tiring just trying to find a connection. I have changed my video card drivers probably 6 or 7 times. Changed resolution settings. I mean, you name it. I've been going through the gauntlet trying to find a connection to what you guys are seeing. And there are still certain principles that I do feel were mishandled by Asobo and Microsoft in their release notes that were upsetting and left room to get upset, if that makes sense. And we'll talk about that in a second here. So again, above all else, to Microsoft, Asobo, and to you community members, even those of you who supported me, I am sorry. I am not too proud to admit when I have done wrong. And my last video was wrong. I have since removed it from the viewable list. And I probably should have done it a heck of a lot sooner, but it was one of those. There was a couple comments that I read today that solidified my decision to pull it. Okay, so unfortunately, I get that the damage is already done. The message has already been sent. So all I can do at this point is hopefully send a new message and make my promise to you all to handle myself and conduct myself more professionally in the future. It's not something I typically let get the better of me, but this time I did. And I think it was because I read the patch notes as I was recording. Anyway, so to move on to my issues that I still hold firm to, we're going to talk about a couple of lines that were in those patch notes that I want to discuss. The first one, which I think is the biggest elephant in the room that has brought up a lot of both positive and negative comments to my comments, was the crash in reference to the crash of desktops. I mean, obviously that's the whole thing that got me upset to begin with. So in reference to referencing the crash of desktops, they said, we are currently investigating. So let's just focus on those words right there for a minute. Now, yes, obviously that says we are aware of the issue. Obviously that says we're working on the issue. But that when you leave something so vague that is impacting so many people, I mean, guys, just take my channel for example. I only have 16.8 thousand subscribers, and I am blown away. For me, that's a huge number. In the grand spectrum of Microsoft Flight Simulator videos and YouTubers, it's not. You know, there are channels that are 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 times the size of mine, if not more. You know what I mean? And you go through their channels and you're seeing the same thing. People just being plagued by this stuff. This is a payware product. And when you have money on the table, and Microsoft and Asobo can't hide behind, and I'm not saying the bad verbiage, I don't want to do that again. They can't take the stance of our product, and let's speak to the deluxe version. What was it, $120, I think, right? So let's take it to the top tier. Let's say that we're talking only about $120 US. They can't limit themselves to that because it's not accurate. Based on the promises of this simulator and what this simulator brought to the table, people have spent thousands and thousands of dollars on this simulator. You can't just hold it as it's only $100 because it's not. And you got to take ownership of that. You created a product that is linked into so many other products that were purchased specifically to use your product. So when we start taking numbers like that into consideration, okay, let's talk about the dollar amount of that's being affected, you know, and this, all I've got is speculation, right? But I mean, you take one computer system. My system is built primarily around flight simulation. I probably got about $7,000 sitting on this desk. Now, obviously that, you know, over time to build and put together, but so that's $7,000. That's just me. There are people who have far more advanced setups than I do and far less than I do. But still, every dime counts. So now you're taking what is a $100 product and you're turning it into a multi-$1,000 product. And you have a multi-$1,000 product that at the moment for many is not functional. And graphical bugs and things like that, absolutely. I really never had an issue with that. You know, I was one of the last to comment on the graphical changes. I think even before, yeah, I noticed it. I'm using 4K resolution at damn near full ultra settings. Excuse me. So of course I saw it. But you know, it's like, well, that changed. Whatever. Off we go. You know, off to the next flight. But when the system won't even function, when you can't even get that far, you need more than we are investigating. You need to know, here's the things that we're looking into. And you've got people like myself and many other channels who are shooting out tutorial tips left and right, trying to offer some sort of solution. You know, tipping out, you know, the NVIDIA drivers and change these settings and go into your config and do this and remove your sceneries and make sure you delete your cache, blah, 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 right? All these things coming from the community. And I feel like Asobo stayed quiet, and they stayed too quiet. You know, I get that they can only release so much, you know, and I get that they have to be careful about what they say, you know, especially when you're stamping a professional large-scale company's name on it. You know, so it's not that I'm trying to be blind to that, but there should have been more information from the mothership. There should have been, here's what we're looking into. We are doing further research. At the moment, we feel it may be related to video card drivers, you know, a driver incompatibility. It may be related to some sort of, you know, memory leak or whatever. You know, I'm just throwing things out here, right? You know, let me, hang on a second. I didn't realize ATC was running. Okay. So, anyway. So my frustration came from such minimal information from such a large company. And then we lead into the second part. And here's the part that I think really got me triggered. The second part of that was the mention of crash at desktops being resolved with World Update 6. I have two problems with this, because that statement means, again, just like the we are investigating means either we know and are looking for a solution, or it means we don't know and we're trying to find out. When you say that most of the issues should be resolved by World Update 6, you are insinuating to me that gives an implication that we know what's wrong and we should have the fix done by the 26th. Or World Update 6, sorry, 24th I think it is. All right, so if you can make a statement like that, telling us an expected, and I totally get expected, not guaranteed, but expected resolution date. If you're able to provide that, I think that you know more about what's going on than what you're sharing. And the reason why that upsets me, again, is because when I do what I do for a living, okay, and we run into issues like these all the time. Again, we deal with thousands of integrations and thousands of different environments, and each one operating the same software and having completely different effects based on a patch or release. That I understand that. That is the nature of software development in an uncontrolled environment. And what I mean by uncontrolled is each one of us has different systems, different internet, different graphics cards, different software installed on our computers that could also be taken into consideration. I understand that. Okay, more than most. Okay, it's at the core of what I do. But when I go to my customers and I tell them things like this, I say the words, "We don't know." And I say the words, we're looking into it. And I tell them what I'm doing. We are looking through event logs. We are gathering logging. We are working with third-party developers. We are working with, a select customer base to try to isolate some of the issues. When you leave a statement of resolution so vague, then all you've got is left to interpretation. And yeah, the way I interpret it at the time that I read that was, we might have a fix, we might know what's wrong, but we're not going to tell you. And when the community is coming up with some things that are working, why isn't Asobo coming up with that? Why aren't they saying things? Here's some of the tips that we have found may be resolving some of the issues for others. Please try these tips out and report back, give us some feedback. Or the biggest thing that I do in my career, if we truly cannot find a solution, we revert. We remove the change that broke it. And that's not something that you can tell me can't be done by by the leading software developer in the world. Microsoft, yes, I get Asobo is the developer. They are backed by Microsoft. They have to take some credit for that, guys. They have to. They have to take some responsibility to that. And responsibility that it's still your hard-earned money that's right now a brick. It's a paperweight. And I guess I just got super pissed off the other day because I hate those corporate responses. I hate them. Be upfront, be real, tell us what's going on. And people like myself who are diving in, if you give us somewhere to look, maybe we can help. Again, 90% of the fixes that I have tried and pushed out have either been tested by myself or by you, the community. Let us help you in the hunt, but tell us where to start. I don't even know, even through all of this, I still don't know where a crash log is for Microsoft Flight Simulator. The Windows Event Viewer doesn't tell you really squat in regard to the simulation other than the simulation failed. I don't know. So anyway, the bottom line is I was truly being empathetic to those who are having a very hard time when I got upset the other day. And, but above all else, I want you all to know who got upset with me over my statements and the way I handled that. I heard you. And you were right on quite a few points that the way I responded to that was wrong. All right, sorry about the cutoff there. My cat needed to get kicked out of my office, clearly. Anyways, so I hope you guys get the gist. I hope you guys understand a bit more about where I'm coming from and where I meant. And I truly am apologetic for the way I handled it. It was completely unprofessional, and all I did was stir the pot. At the end of the day, that's all I did. I stirred the pot. So, and that doesn't help anyone. It doesn't. And I should have known better. So, moving forward, I hope that those of you who I offended and made upset will forgive that. Again, I am a man who owns up to my own crap, and that was crap. Now, if this ever reaches Asobo or Microsoft, the things that I would like to see handled differently is there needs to be, in my opinion, a much better way to handle these sim updates. Because this isn't the first one that has caused some pretty severe issues for many users. And I am a big advocate of the sim is still an infant. And, I had some guys say, no, it's not a baby. Yes, it is. 1 year for a worldwide online multiplayer, fully integrated, third-party supported product. This software is a baby. It is still in its teething phases. It's barely up and walking. It is absolutely not something that is solidified, locked down, or concrete. It's growing. It's evolving. Many changes are yet to come, and I respect that portion of it. And I've mentioned it many times. What I would like to see, though, is a better vetting process for the updates. I think that there needs to be, if not already, And I've never seen any indication that one exists. And if I'm wrong, then I'll put my foot in my mouth once again. But I don't think there is. But there needs to be like a closed beta community. You know, and the reason why I say closed beta community is because I think that would be the easiest way based on how it's currently designed to do this. You need to get 2,000 users, 5,000 users, whatever, scattered all over the place with different systems, different builds, their own custom personal machines. Heck, I would be more than happy to be a part of that. A closed beta process that the sim updates get released to 2-3 weeks before they go live. Okay? That way these issues can be reported, you know, and you can catch some of these issues, you know, and even then, at least then you've got some weight. At least you can say it went through an alpha testing internally and everything went well. We didn't have any of these issues. Then we took 5,000 random users who signed up to be a part of the open beta, and they all said, yep, it's great, it's fine. And then when it goes live and there are more issues and things start popping up, you still got something to fight with. You can still say, you know, we did the best we could. You know, and again, I respect that process. You know, that there's always going to be someone who's crashing. There's always going to be issues, you know, but we need to come up with a new way to handle these because, again, this isn't the first time this has happened. This isn't the first time there's been an update that has been game-breaking. And what I'd honestly like to see is more like, you know, Eagle Dynamics does. Or you know what? No, let's keep it internally. The Flybywire installer. Okay? Let's launch the installer real quick. So here's the installer for the Flybywire A320. All right, sorry, once again, the cat was outside my door screaming at the top of his lungs. I'm worried you guys can hear that. Anyway, you have the experimental version, we have a development version, we have a stable version. You have the option to pick how much are you willing to sacrifice. Are you willing to go through the bugs, the process, right? The experimental version, I tried it once when the Autoland first came out. And the Autoland was cool, but there was a lot of other really goofy things that was going on with the Airbus that I was just like, no, it's not for me. So I went back to the development version, you know. And at the time that I initially went back, I didn't obviously get the Autoland at that point. I lost that ability. Yep, the Autoland was cool. It was fun to play around with, but I liked the stability of the development version. If you're someone who doesn't want to risk it at all, you can go to the stable version. You know, and perfect example, like Flybywire was able to do earlier in the week. The stable version was just destroyed by the last patch. So what they do? They pulled the stable version from the marketplace and put out a big post and told everyone, don't use it. Okay, and they told everyone, use the development version for now. We've got it up and running. We'll return the A320 back to the stable version when we have a version that is we can, you know, vouch for. Microsoft Flight Simulator needs a way to do that. There needs to be a way to control the update. There needs to be a way, like, oh, I think that's just lag from multiplayer, but it's like UFO up there. Anyway, squirrel. But there needs to be a way to manage the updates. If there isn't going to be some sort of closed beta or an open beta even, I think an open beta would be ideal. But if there isn't going to be a way to do that, you know, then you need to have a way for people to revert it. You need to have a way to say, nope, this isn't working. We need to pull this patch. And there isn't. So, and again, I think this is where a lot of my anger comes from, because it's not just the simulator. Again, this is a product that is backed by Microsoft, who has on more than one occasion had to pull updates, who has on more than one occasion has had to issue emergency fixes, you know, and certainly knows there's a process to do so. Take Windows 11 right now. Windows 11 is something that you can install and download for free and run in a beta testing program, okay, or a beta testing environment. And if you don't like it and you get too many bugs and there's too many issues, you have the ability to go back to Windows 10. Okay, it's the basic nature of large-scale software like this, and I think that's what part of the reason why I got so upset is you can't. There's no way to go back. There's no way to publicly test this before you install it on your machine. There is no way to see any kind of public testing or see what the results are going to be or get an idea of what the community is doing before you update it. And on top of that, the communication is minimal. You know, so when you put all those things together, me as someone who does this for a living, yeah, I got upset. It's, in my opinion, I still stand firm that's not a good model, in my opinion. You know, and that is my opinion. And, you know, just like you guys are welcome to yours, I hope that you guys respect mine. But it's just, there are things that need to be done differently because there is a ton of people's money invested in this. I don't come from a lot of money. I came, you know, I do very well now. You know, I'm doing great, and you guys are a huge reason for that. You know, but that's not how I was brought up. I didn't come from that environment. You know, so every dime counts to me. You know, and I don't know. So those are the things that I'd like to see change. Again, I hope you all accept my sincerest apologies for the completely unprofessional conduct. And I will definitely endeavor to make sure that does not ever get repeated in the future. But thank you all for your continued support. I hope you guys found some understanding from this video as to why I acted the way I did the other day. And I will see you guys in the next one, as always.